Hi guys, welcome to دواران or Unscripted. I'm Nadim, or Nad's Reviews, and I'm here in Potsdam filming this podcast about how we can elevate the quality of film and TV in the region. My guest has more than 20 years of experience in acquisition, distribution, and recently in production of movies in the Middle East. He is the CEO and founder of Front Row Filmed Entertainment, which is the leading independent film distribution company in the region, around 90 to 120 films a year. My guest today is Gianluca Chakra. Hi, Gianluca. How you
Hey,
doing?
Nadim. How's it going, man?
Super happy to have you here.
Same here.
So let me know, what are you watching lately?
Oof, كتير nothing and
I
a lot
love
of work.
it. كتير nothing.
Actually, I'm obsessing on a reality show that's called Airport Security on Disney. That's
Airport Security? Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
I know how to catch basically these drug dealers and so on. So I kind of trip on that. And then
You're not into the, my wife loves Too Hot to Handle, Love is Blind, all these cheesy romantic rom-coms.
Sorry.
Airport Security is better.
Exactly. It's a manly thing to watch.
Yeah.
So it's that. And then I watched a great show on Disney Plus called The Good Mothers.
The Good Mothers? No,
yeah,
I haven't heard of it.
It's about basically the wives of mafia bosses and how they're kind of forced into it. And it's
Mob
really,
Wives,
really,
nice.
Oh, it's awesome.
Okay, adding it to the list, honestly.
Oh, yeah, you should. It's great, man. It's been a massive success in Italy. And I watched
because
it.
you're part Italian, right?
I am.
Twist, if you didn't know that, yes.
The name doesn't give it away. So that I watched Bad Surgeon on Netflix, which I thought was great. It's a docu-series. It's insane.
Heard a lot about it. Haven't seen it yet.
That's great. What else am I watching? I rewatched Modern Love, which I think is a masterpiece. Yeah. I think it's great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And did you watch any of those big limited series this year, like Baby Reindeer, Ripley?
Yes, I love Baby Reindeer.
Yes.
I thought that was great. I hope one day we'll have like a version of that over here. Like that stuff is needed.
رح نحكي عن هالشغلة بعدين. Having something هيك that's a pop culture.
It's just great.
And coming from this region would be epic. يعني.
Yeah.
Let me know, how did you get into the industry? How did it start?
Baye. So I was born in the business. Baye can come in was a film. He's done. He bought films like Superman.
Wow, the original Christopher Reeve one.
The Christopher Reeve one, where I mean, as far as I understood, people can يضحكوا عليه لأن it's like, who's going to watch a man fly in tights? It was that kind of thing.
Crazy.
But it's still like, honestly, it's tied to my childhood, but I think it's like one of my favorite films of all time. Like the first one is just
iconic.
Great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was amazing, Christopher.
Yeah. So I mean, he did that job for like a good 40 years, and I kind of loved every time he would come from Cannes and film markets like that. He'd come with like the variety, and so I would read that. Or like at the time, he used to have VHSs. وكان يبيعوا أفلام. They can put trailers on VHSs, and then they would show the distributors or
trailers on VHS.
Yeah, they would have like these TVs, and so he'd come back with all of these VHSs, and it's like, check out all these trailers. So I loved doing that.
I love trailers more than movies sometimes.
Like cinema, and that's what I look forward to. It's like the trailers.
Yeah.
So I was kind of born into it and learned a lot from his mistakes, because after 40 years, his company went bust. And then I ended up also working for one of his competitors, Prime Pictures, which I learned a lot from.
Wow.
And eventually, gave it a shot over here. I thought there was a gap, and came here with not much. My friends helped me a lot, I have to admit, and gave it a shot. But then eventually it was, for 3 years, and then I want to open a bar because I want to be Tom Cruise in Cocktail. 20 years later, I'm here. So, yeah.
That's incredible. What was the first thing, by the way, you worked at your dad's company? I'm curious.
While I was in college at the time, we had to do my first marketing project. So I remember I wanted to market a film. And at the time, like, my father would distribute films for a company called Polygram. He did films like Notting Hill and Billy Elliot. And like really, really cool. Like the company that started the British comedies, which we all know, the Love Actuallys and so on. So it was like these producers that set that up. And my father would distribute these films. And one of those Can Mr. Bean, remember the film?
Of course.
So I remember like I did my first marketing plan and on that, and then we implemented that, and it actually kicked ass. It was big.
Wow.
So it was cool. It was cool. That was the first project I ever worked on, really.
That's
And
brilliant.
then after that, it just went on and on.
That's brilliant. Gianluca, with all the movies you've distributed over the years,
Yeah.
which is the one you're proudest of?
في كتير, even stuff that didn't work.
I will talk about those after.
I don't know, like the first, I think I have a certain attachment to the first film I ever distributed, which was City of God.
Oh, wow.
Again, it was like Portuguese, لك الأحمر كيف بجيب film in Portuguese, and I'm like, no, man, it's going to work. And at the time there was DVDs, started off with that. So that kind of left a mark. And a real big success come in. We had distributed before Bowling for Columbine. There were all like these genres that distributors would not touch at the time because كان بعد الخليج مبلش, and people really had the conviction that the UAE audience or the Middle East audience would just go for either the big action films or chicks with guns at the time was big. Someone that's distributing a foreign film was like frowned upon. So
a big part of it was trying to convince them to release these movies.
It was also an education process which took Anjad forever. And you're still going through. It's not that at the beginning you have a lot of arrogance because you think that it's what are you doing? This is wrong. People should see these films, but it's really about coping with the culture and then slowly starting to insert things like that, which is the right way to do it. You can't just impose it. So slowly but surely, that business started growing. We kind of developed that niche, and I ended up distributing a film, which again everybody looked at me and which part of it was right. Even my dad at the time told me the same. Which was a film called Fahrenheit 9/11.
Of course. Wow.
So that was our first big success. It won Cannes and kind of put us on the map. And it was
Michael Moore was the director.
Yeah, it was Michael Moore, and it was like so
that
timely
was huge
at the time. It was so just timely, and luckily, like it passed because, like sometimes like you bump into hiccups when it comes to the censorship. So if it's too political, it could get banned. So there was also a lot of inexperience on my side, but luckily it passed, and literally it was as big as a Harry Potter. Like, it was massive, and that was a documentary. Like, again, it never happened before.
Right.
So yeah, I think like the cool part of my job is really finding those
gems.
Which because most of the time it's like you pre-buy those films, so they're not done. You don't go see them.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought it's usually done and then you pick it.
90% of our buys are based on scripts. That's how they finance independent film.
True. So you have to have the foresight and long vision to know what's going to
work. Luckily it worked out because it is kind of risky. So on that one, buying a title like that, which is like you don't have a script on a thing like this, right? So it was literally an idea, and because we had distributed Bowling for Columbine and did so well at the time, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it.
You knew there would be appetite for something.
Yeah, but then again, you had that risk, right? Because of what it was. But luckily, again, it passed. It got banned in a few places. A few TVs would not buy it. Al Jazeera ended up buying it.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, okay. Which didn't really air fully as a film. It aired in parts because of how they air those films. But still, it was cool. And then I don't know. There's a lot. Like again, I love finding those gems. Like we did a film called It Follows, which again, like we thought was such a great concept. Now they're doing the sequel to it. But again, it's like those little gems. Yeah. But it's like you find those little gems, and I think that's the biggest satisfaction when you're like, I knew it.
By the way, was City of God a success in the region?
Yeah, it never released theatrically. We actually just released it theatrically to celebrate our 20 years, and we've teamed up with a really cool person that has the rights now, just the theatrical rights for them. And we're like, listen, let's re-release it. And we actually kicked off now a re-release worldwide. So now they're really re-releasing it in Italy and France, and it's doing pretty cool.
So at the time you just released it on DVD, was it?
That was the only way, and ended up selling it, I think, to TV. But it was a hard sell just because, again, it was in Portuguese. But from that, they kind of kicked off a lot. We ended up distributing a lot of foreign films here. We did like all of the Sympathy for Lady Vengeance at the time, which was massive, you know. But even the documentary genre just kicked off really, really, really big, you know. We did I remember I had this documentary called Cocaine Cowboys. I don't know if you saw that, you know, which is
No, I've heard of
basically
Cocaine Godmother, I remember,
no,
but I haven't
well,
seen
yeah,
Cocaine
okay,
Cowboy.
so it's
Griselda
that
Blanco,
exactly.
yeah.
So that was like the first documentary that ever came out, and it was basically the story of that inspired Miami Vice and Scarface.
Okay.
Which then they did Griselda and so on. So it talks a lot about her, and that film just boomed like here in the Middle East. It was massive. It's a great documentary. You got to watch it.
What year was this?
10 years ago, 10,
Okay,
12 years
yeah.
ago. Yeah, so it's like, you know, that's the documentary. People love docs.
So what about the flops? So we talked about the
Oh.
successes. Is there anything
Yeah.
that you were sure was going to be big and then it just didn't hit the right
Yes.
way? Yeah.
Again, it comes out of inexperience. So at the beginning, I remember the first big slap I ever got was, you know, you grow up with films like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus Milos Forman, genius.
Yeah.
And I remember buying his last film, which is called Goya's Ghosts, which was about the Spanish Inquisition with Javier Bardem and Natalie Portman and like this great cast.
Yeah.
And you know, you watch the film, it is a good film, but you know, quite frankly, who gives a shit when it comes to the Spanish Inquisition, right? Plus, like again, times are changing and you're still like, you know, living the glories of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and you think it's a marketing problem. Or it's not. It's just like people are not interested
There's no
in
appetite.
that.
There's
You
no
know,
interest.
so that was
Yeah.
like my first big flop. Another one was a Peter Weir film. You know, this guy did like Dead Poet Society. This guy did the Mosquito Coast. Like he's done like really big films. And I remember buying a film for a lot of money at the time. It was like one of our first bigger kind of films. It was called The Way Back, which is a really good film. And an epic, really. But just again, same stories. Like, why do I have to suffer for 3 hours? You know. And so yeah, you go through these, and then we haven't had many flops just because of our business model. It's more about, you know, let's go for the cool concepts and you know, kind of be safe. But then every once in a while, you know, you have to do it. And I remember we bet big on a film, which we were probably one of the few territories that actually made money on that film. But it's on IMDb's top 250 films. And it's called Rush.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You know, that's the Formula One Ron Howard
yeah.
film. You know, I thought that film is like one of the best films I've ever distributed. And luckily, like it worked well over here, but you know,
Globally, it wasn't.
no,
Yeah.
it's, you know, the company that produced it shut down after that film. You know, but they're the guys that did like, you know, The Woman in Black. They did, you know, Snitch. They did quite a good films. But you know,
That was a
one
proud
film
moment, yeah, to see that
yeah,
film
yeah,
work so
you
well
know, that
here.
was yeah, you know, so yeah.
Let's talk about Perfect Strangers because that was an immense hit
Yeah.
and it also got a lot of controversy. But I was wondering, what do you think, first of all, is the secret weapon to this film's success?
Well, it's not exactly a secret weapon. I mean,
It's
it
been
was
remade a few times.
Exactly, you know, it was
17
remade.
times maybe or something.
I
yeah.
think now they're up to, I don't know, 25,
Oh,
30
wow.
probably. It's such a great concept, you know. It's a format if you think about
Yeah.
it. Now, I mean, the way it came along, and we you know, we understood that the whole business is changing. You know, local content was on the rise or is on the rise, and we're like, listen, like, okay, fine, we know what works, what doesn't, because we're distributors. So we thought, listen, let's get into the production business. You know, we have the contact, we have the right network, and you know, after a while, you're like, listen, you start sort of gaining confidence and.
You're itching to get into it, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, listen, like, you know, you kind of have a credibility, guys, and I have a great team, honestly, thank God. You know, it's like, why don't we get into production? And you know, I called up a personal friend of mine, which is Mario Haddad, Hisham, who I owe a lot to from the Kuwait National Cinema Company. That guy's a mentor to me. Like, I genuinely love that guy. You know, and we all took a decision, and we called up another dear friend of ours called Muhammad Hafzi from Film Clinic, and you know, the idea was that I came out of a theater in Italy watching Perfect Strangers, and the reaction coming out of that theater was that every single couple that was in there was fighting. It was such a great reaction. I was single at the time, and you know, I enjoyed this. I'm like, this is great. You know, it's so universal. And you know, called up the guys, and I'm like, listen, we need to remake this. At the time, not many remakes were out. I think one, the French one, was out. And then eventually we bought the rights, and it it was hard even finding writers because, now we're getting into the business. You really find out that for a certain type of cinema that you'd like to do or a TV show, we'd lack writers. So it was hard finding, even on a remake, you had a lot of people that, we went out for writers to pitch their idea to us. So it was quite a challenge. A lot of people wanted the gay character to die. But that's not the film. That's definitely not the film. We couldn't get it right up until we met Gabriel Yamin, who is a Lebanese screenwriter, with Wissam at the time, the director. Kind of got together. He wrote a really good structure for the film, and with Wissam and the whole team, Mayada, Mario, like everybody, we sat down and rewrote the whole dialogues, and we wanted it to be as real as possible. That was the first thing, and we were like, listen, like if we're getting into this, like we need to really make all characters relatable, and on anything we do, it has to be that. For as much as I want to criticize Arab cinema, but obviously there's a market out there for it, and you cannot not respect that, you know. But I also think that there's a parallel market that nobody's touching, and a lot of the times, many of the platforms and TV or networks, kind of dumb down their audience. They think, well, it's they won't get it.
Right.
But at the same time, that same audience relies on the global platforms to go and watch, the more sophisticated shows. So like when it comes to Arab shows, they judge them addun. Oh, well, it's good for an Arab show, or it's good for an Arab film.
Why do they not have faith in Arab audiences?
I don't know. I also think it's who greenlights the shows. A lot of the times who greenlights the shows would rather have a safe bet than risk it and get fired.
Right.
It could also be that. Now it's like I'm starting to understand. Before
it's their neck on the chopping block, and they don't want to take a risk.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody is passionate about content, or not everybody is passionate about it's more about the sure bet. This is what works. Feed them
the 90-episode Turkish Arabized series.
No, I mean, obviously there is an audience, but you want to grow your audience. You don't just want to retain that audience. You want to grow it. So if you want to grow it, then you got to do stuff differently, And this is unfortunately what lacks a lot over here. It's changing. It's changing. Perfect Strangers, is an example.
And that was the first Netflix Arab original, I think.
So it really started that when we started developing it, and up to when it was shooting, then COVID happened. Like we shot it during COVID at the time. So literally, like we didn't know where the world was going to end. That was one thing.
So you had to implement all the protocols while filming and stuff like that.
We stayed in a hotel for like a month. Every day, it's like you can't get out of the hotel.
Masks
so it was
set,
like
all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had all the precautions needed, and we had Mayada, our executive producer. She's a soldier, so like you can't screw around with her, man. So it was like everybody, had to like follow that protocol. But it also meant that we built a synergy between all of us. It was great. It was a great vibe. We all got to know each other, and literally like we were perfect strangers. It was
and
great.
What's interesting is that the movie kind of has one set, right?
Yeah,
which fits the
COVID
aspect.
That was the whole thing. Like we wanted to keep the budget down. It was our first film. What do you choose? You choose like one set. This is great. Like it's basically a thriller, but happening on a dinner table, on subject matters that everybody relates to, for wherever you are, everybody lies, so it's that. And that was our thinking. And Netflix bet on us, and it was literally our first film.
Nice.
So thank you.
Thank you, Netflix.
Exactly. There's someone in there, no, I have to say, she kicks ass. Like,
I know how she's the best.
But she really bet on that, and could have gotten her fired, so the woman has balls.
So
so that worked out well. They were also like launching the title. There was a bit of fear, even internally. It's like, listen, how are people going to react? And then after a while, it's like, listen, but that's why we did the film. Like, come on, guys, and we all believed in it, and it turned out to be a massive hit. So at the beginning, it was okay, there was a lot of arrogance on my side where I'm like, I
At
knew
least
it.
he knows.
Yeah, I knew it,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And that you knew it was going to be a success. That's
Yeah,
what
I
you
mean,
mean.
okay,
Yeah.
like it took me 2 weeks, and the same thing with all my partners. You know, it was our first film, so it took us like a while to see it. So me, it's like it took me like at least 5 days. I'm like, I can't see it, and then eventually when I saw the first cut of it, it was
So
it was
you had the
really
cut,
good.
but you were nervous. You didn't want to watch it. You
Completely.
mean. Okay, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but when I saw it, it was like, holy shit, this is a good film.
Mm.
You know, and from then on, you kind of gain that confidence, and then when it went out, yes, it had that controversy, which I thought was honestly, I thought it was healthy.
Mm.
You need to debate about these things. You know, society's changing. Like, let's not be hypocrites about it. You know, so it was a great it was a great debate. You know, and it
The main
didn't go
controversy was that
one-sided.
underwear scene, right?
That's
Which
so
was so
stupid,
silly.
man. That was
I
so
thought there wasn't even
stupid,
any nudity
you
in the
know.
movie
It
or
was
anything.
that. It was the gay character, and how
Oh,
can
right,
you
yeah.
normalize that?
Mm.
You know, and you're like, can you deny that you know? I mean, it's the reality and the
course.
story. You know,
And I remember Munazaki got attacked a lot, and which
Munazaki
was
got attacked a
unwarranted,
lot,
I think.
which
Yeah.
was, I mean, why hasn't Iyad Nassar been criticized for what he did? You know, why was it just Mona?
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like, hats off. I mean, like, she never lost integrity. You know, it's like, listen, this is what I did. End of story. And
100%.
respect, man. Like, honestly, that was, you know, it was tough. It was a tough time for her. Like, you know, we all lived it, and you know, it was hard.
Do you think the controversy helped make the film a bigger hit, by the way, and sustain the conversation?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it got the debate going,
Yeah.
you know, and people wanted to watch it to criticize it, and other people didn't hear about it, and they were like, I'll watch it, you know.
FOMO.
Hey, you know, you're like,
But
I mean,
it
what are you
deserved
doing?
it. The script was so good. The acting was amazing.
Yeah,
I loved
no,
it.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, like,
that was great.
we had a great team, and so much respect for everybody. It was great. But you know, that also triggered a you know, first look deal with Netflix. Now we shot another film.
Nice.
You know, and
What's it
about
called?
to shoot called
Sandcastle?
Sandcastle. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. That was a film that we shot summer and a half ago.
Oh, wow. So it's in post production.
Yeah,
now?
it's almost done. Took a while because there's quite a bit of VFX, and so it took a long time.
I love that you guys took your time, because so much is rushed in the region, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, because it's so slow. And yeah, we like to develop our scripts. You know, there's a lot of the times, you know, you see how scripts are developed in the region, and literally like in 6 months you have a film.
Right.
You know, from development stage all the way to production. We don't do that. Not because we don't like doing, or we wouldn't love doing that, but come on, it's like you got to invest time in the script. You know, we work with your brother. We've been working on a project for a great project. I still think it's awesome. You know, but it's been like a good 3-4 years. You know, and your brother's been working on it even more.
Nadim Safieddine. Yeah. But we can't say the name of the project. It looks cool.
No,
Yeah.
but you know, so yeah, I mean, it's. I think that is needed, but you need to work on multiple projects at the same time if you want to really make it sustainable, and
Right.
and it's hard. It's really hard, but luckily, you know, you kind of build that reputation and you attract people that you can collaborate that want to deliver a certain type of content.
Yeah.
You know, so you kind of develop that circle, and yeah, and build that network and kind of work with the people that are like-minded, and it's getting there. Slowly but surely, but it's getting there.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Gianluca, you're talking about scriptwriters. Like, it's tough to find talent here, or is it that they don't have? They don't have the skill, or there aren't workshops or trainings or ways to improve their talent?
There
What's
are.
the problem?
There are. But Kamena, the problem is that you know, the Middle East is not a country. أنه بأمريكا بيشوفونا هيك, oh yes, Arabs, Middle East, end of story. But you know, like when you work locally, you know, you have to. I mean, there are market demands, right? So obviously, the bigger the market is, the more demand on content there's going to be. So Saudi Arabia is one, for example, right? So now it's booming. So obviously, you have you know, all the networks and the platforms that are prioritizing Saudi Arabia. So at the beginning, there was a lot of arrogance from the current players, and خلينا نعمل TV show بالسعودية, we'll teach them how it is, you know. And a lot of them flopped. Actually, I think the majority of them flopped. Up until you started having like actual locals.
Authentic voices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you need that. The problem with a lot of the times is that, I know they try to westernize Arab content,
Right.
and it just doesn't work. Like people can't relate. And then you have a film like Sattar, for example.
Just a huge hit, right? It's one of the
we
biggest ever.
we ended up distributing that. But like when you first watch it, quite frankly, knowing the Middle East without Saudi, it's like, who the hell's going to watch a film about an underground Nacho Libre wrestler? Turns out that people do. Like in
It was
Saudi,
so
there
fresh,
is that,
honestly.
and it was fresh. It was too local, and I'm like, when I watched it, I'm like, I don't think anybody's gonna relate. But that's ignorance on my side. And it just boomed. It just boomed. The Telfaz are a brand, obviously, that people have been following for quite a while. They know exactly what they were going to get. Same thing with a film called Mandub. If you watch that film, it's really a high-end art house film, which I thought great film. I really could compare that film to a first part of Taxi Driver.
Right.
So, I could have gone there. But hey, hats off. On that film, 700,000 people went and watched it in Saudi. Versus Badra, it's considered like an art house film and would go on art house circuits and so on. But, and the same thing with people like Lamlo Shams al Ma'arif, again, authentic. What was the other one? Hamur, same story. So it's like you have those occasional hits, but when they hit, it's big, but they don't translate outside of Saudi. So it's really trying to find a way of getting them out of there. And then when it comes to Egypt, obviously Egypt is the Hollywood of the Middle East, so it travels. So lately, I know there've been a bit of a sellouts, it's more for the business. So it's like, and again, that's why sometimes it's really hard. It's a struggle to find talent, actors, where it's like, a lot of the times you kind of, now that you start producing, you kind of see that there are a few actors that would go out of their comfort zone. Munazaki is one, but then
that's
there
crazy
are others.
Because to me, actors have to be always outside the comfort zone.
Yeah,
constantly
but then at the
challenging
same
themselves.
time, because you saw the reaction of something like A Perfect Strangers, for example, they're scared that film would damage their image.
Damage their career and image.
And it's not that they see it as, wow, great acting and so on. Like, we've had trouble casting, for example, another remake that we acquired, which was like, Antushab, just because like the guy's on a wheelchair and a lot of them don't want to be seen on a wheelchair.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know, but it's like slowly.
But that also shows you how tough the Arab world is. It's such a tricky market.
And then at the same time, it's like, you really want to do a film where you're like, listen, like it's a good Arab film, and regardless, you have examples of films that are not Saudi or Egyptian that have worked with TV shows like Rawabi, for example. That's one
huge hit. Yeah,
it was a huge hit, and that's because of the subject matters and what it touches and how it. Kind of brings up the struggles of young adults. It's that nobody ever talks about these things. And it's very rare. There was a TV show that came out which was quite a success a couple of years ago, and it was one of the few times that I watched that Ramadan show.
What was it called?
I can't remember. Seventh Year Itch.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Of course.
You're like,
it was brilliant, nice writing, great acting.
But at the same time, like the subject matters that were touched upon, are like so 80s. Ooh, divorce. Ooh, you're like, but then again, it's like that's how you really catch up here in the region. So that's why films like
Al Harsha Saba, I think was the name. Yes,
but then you have something like a Perfect Strangers that then gets the controversy where you're like, okay, maybe we pushed it too far when you look at those shows. But then at the same time, again, it's like not everybody's like that. There are people that rely on Western shows because they want to see that stuff.
Question.
So it's kind of that.
After Perfect Strangers, because that was such a big hit, did you find resistance of people not wanting, for example, to work with you because that was too controversial?
100%. I mean, we heard. So no, after that, we we got we started getting scripts just for like, hey man, it's controversial, let's do it.
That's your niche now.
No, not that. So at the beginning, we thought it would open a lot of doors. It's like, look, we had a hit. Barakis, the first few times and a few meetings we had, and we were seen as the troublemakers. Hey, they're great stuff, but gotta be careful. So it's you kind of get that, but then slowly, you kind of get back in the game. It's like, okay, you kind of talk. But no, hey, there was at the beginning, it was kind of that. Our second film is not as controversial, that's for sure.
Can you tell us anything about it, or is it still under wraps?
No, it's still under wraps.
Okay, but it's called The Sandcastle, right?
Yeah. And then
Sandcastle or the Sandcastle?
the
Sorry.
Sandcastle.
The Sandcastle. Okay, cool.
And
Excited
then
for
we're
that.
shooting in a film which we did announce called Booma, which is a film that we're shooting in Jordan, and it's kind of a Gomorrah-like
Nice.
film about a female queen pin. And that's
Love
that.
it. I don't think we've had something. I can't think of something like that in the Arab world that I've
No,
seen
I think
before.
I think it's
So
again.
Griselda-ish,
No,
maybe?
well, no, not that.
I think you've heard that a bit.
Yeah, no, it's not that. No,
Yeah.
it's basically about the rise of someone from the slums in Jordan, and that would eventually become a queen pin. And
That's super
it's
cool.
loosely based on a true story, and we have Rakin Saad.
From Rawabi.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
she's
She's
brilliant.
gonna
Yeah.
lead it, and I mean, she's really living it right now, honestly.
Nice.
And we're shooting at the beginning of next month. So yeah, let's see. That's gonna be a challenge, but again,
Nice.
cool
Excited
team
to watch
and,
both.
fingers crossed. Yeah.
Gianluca, so we spoke about scripts, but what do you think is the biggest problem in the region now?
The biggest problem in the region,
In the
there are
industry,
many.
of course, yeah. What is the biggest problem in the industry right now in the region?
I think it's writing. That's one thing. I think the biggest issue is films or content out of places that are outside of Saudi and Egypt struggle. Just because there are platforms that want to meet numbers, but at the same time it could be to the detriment of Lebanese cinema or Jordanian cinema, Syrian cinema. These smaller territories which really have great culture and really good cinema. It's they're facing. I think that's one of the big problems. So slowly it's about really being smart and coming up with productions that could hear the voices of eventually territories like those. Luckily we do have good directors and internationally renowned directors like Nadim Labaki or Yad Duairi, the time Egypt, the Yusuf Shaheens and the Yusuf Nasrallahs, but not many. And I think it's our job to find those and start really taking that cinema and TV to a level that we really deserve, quite honestly.
Is there anything else in the industry you would love to fix?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's censorship is one.
Of course.
But look, it again.
That's the
for
region,
as much as
I guess,
but for as much as you criticize them now that have been here for 20 years, you kind of get it. You kind of work around it, and sometimes even luckily, there are a few countries that you can't really dialogue with the censor board. I have to say, like over here and even in Saudi, and they're actually quite open in Saudi, even internally. They're, whoever runs the authorities over there, like they're literally geeks. They love film, but they also
that's nice.
That's great. Like you talk to them, and at the beginning it's like, oh well, we can't talk to them, and then slowly you start getting to know them, and you're like, hey, like look, we're geeks too. We get it. We completely get it, and it's a struggle even internally. And then we really literally just opened up. So, slowly but surely it's happening. And the cool thing is that they'll fight for it, and everybody will do that. But it's a gradual process, and there's constant dialogue between us and other players. So yeah, it's for the best. Like you see, like cinema is growing a lot, and now you have. I compare it not just because I'm in the business, but I compare what we're going through right now to territories like Russia or Germany in the 90s, where you had like the surefire bets, on okay, this is what's gonna work on TV. Like sometimes you get like the vanilla stuff, but slowly it's changing because now you have a lot of the platforms and that are competing. So obviously it's that competition makes you want to excel even more. So yeah, it's good times, man. I really believe in that. It's going to be a slow process, but I really think it's for the best. Well, it's getting there.
Gianluca, if someone watching us now wants to be like a writer or director, what would you recommend?
Keep integrity. Be smart. Listen to the producers that eventually you're going to work with. Listen to them because they'll reflect your writing. So you got to choose them right. But they'll fight the fight with you if you keep the integrity. They'll guide you, in a smart way. Like we would never try to corrupt the integrity of a writer.
I
on
love
the contrary,
that.
like we would want to mentor them and kind of guide them. It's like, listen, you're doing this too fast. We got to change this. We got to change that. We'll still deliver that message again, but never lose that integrity. Don't auto censor yourself. A good producer, I think, guides writers and talent, into doing the right thing, but the right way.
Right.
And I'm also learning this. It's not that I know, and we just started doing this. But that's what I'm learning. And yeah, but at the same time, like, you want to work with people that you get along with. Just don't force it. And vice versa with producers. Like, it's not because I have the money or I can get the investment, or like, I want to work with a guy that I'm not going to get along with, and I'll just do it for the money. Yeah, no, I could never do that.
I want to pick your brain about something.
Yeah.
So I'm new to Arabic series and movies. I've just started watching
So am I.
these 2-3 years, and I've noticed. I watched some of them. There are some okay stuff, some good stuff. But what I've noticed a lot is that there's so many. The latest trend is 90 episode Arabic, Arabized Turkish series.
Okay.
Do you think these are good for the industry?
Again, they have an audience, so you can't deny that.
I'm one of them, by the way. I watch them
Okay.
sometimes. Yeah.
No, they.
Yeah.
I'm not. I could
Yeah.
never sit through a 90-minute, 90 episode. I don't know, Baby Reindeer. Are you kidding? Like, when is this gonna end?
Yes, the Baby Reindeer. Oh, so I'll tell you. So, by the way, I watch them because that's what my followers want, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah,
Like,
of
they care
course,
more
no.
about that, maybe because it's in the region. Like, the appetite is more for that than a Baby Reindeer, which is crazy to me.
I mean, again, like, somebody like an NBC led those shows, right,
Yeah.
forever. So I mean, they clearly have an audience, they clearly have a following, and it's a behavioral thing. So like, people are used to that. So I mean, they clearly work. But then again, that's why I'm saying I think there is a parallel audience that nobody's touching that needs to be targeted.
Needs to be fed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where you get like people like us, basically, and no, a lot of other people. As you go to Saudi, like, they've seen every other, Western show. Like, they know them all, and they would love to do things like that. And a few players are actually doing that, Telfaz being one of them, and the Masamir guys.
Right.
Also,
yeah. Super
I
cool.
think, like, on the animation that they've done, we're seeing it from the outside, and kind of, talking about Saudi society at the time. Like, these guys really hit it, you could compare it to a Simpsons, but then again, us that are not Saudi, that are seeing it from afar, you can't relate. But then when you actually understand what this all means and how it reflects society, I thought that was genius,
Right.
and still, it turned out they did a film, and. So you have, like, these cool talents that are very much Saudi, but slowly, hopefully, like, soon they'll start collaborating with people to try to get that audience outside of Saudi too, and vice versa, also. On our side, it's hard to penetrate a market unless you're Egyptian, but to penetrate a market like Saudi and make the film or the TV show relatable, So it's also a learning process.
Gianluca, so what about upcoming works? So I know you said there's a Sandcastle. There's Booma in Jordan.
Yeah, so that's the one we're
Anything
shooting
else?
in Jordan. Yeah, there's a film that we might be shooting hopefully early next year. About kind of like not a Goonies.
Oh.
No, it does happen in a village, and there are people. It's a village where music is not allowed.
Oh, I love that. Intriguing.
Yeah, and so it's about really.
It sounds like a fresh concept, right? It's a brand new thing. Yeah, it's not a remake or anything.
It's not. No, it's an original, and basically it's a YA genre where you have people that kind of start a revolution against the people that are or revolting against the people that are banning music in this town.
Super cool.
So yeah, it's very Handmaid's Tale-ish, but
I
it's
love
cool.
that. Yeah. And controversial because you're troublemakers.
No,
just kidding.
No, it's not. No. But it's it's a cool concept.
Yeah.
We have a TV show, one of which we're working on with your
Yeah.
brother that we're developing. We just bought the life rights to Sadi Hafiz.
Sadi
the robber,
Hafiz?
the robber that went and stole her money
Oh,
to
in
save her
Lebanon.
sister in the bank. Yeah,
Oh,
so we
that's-
signed her life rights.
That's brilliant. Wow.
And we're now thinking of various aspects of that IP. We're looking at a film, we're looking at a docu-series, we're looking at a TV series, because the story is I mean, her whole bank robbery was just 13 minutes, but really what kind of led to that, and the after also, is really what's interesting. So yeah, there's a lot to be looked at on that show. Or that IP. I'm quite excited about that, and we're teaming up with cool people to help us really elevate this IP. We're working on a musical.
Musical.
TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
I love it. You guys are covering so many different things. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a show that happens in a bathroom. That's the studio.
One location. Love it.
No, it's not one location, but that's where they record. So I think
okay.
that's one thing.
Nice.
And like that, we have also another kind of show that talks about couples throughout the Middle East, and kind of throwing the uncomfortable question.
Nice.
And literally seeing how a couple in Dubai handles that, and a couple in Lebanon, Egypt, and Saudi
that's
would
fascinating.
handle that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's something the entire region can relate to. Different people, different
exactly. And
nice.
It's like, different point of views. They never meet except, at the end on a wedding where they're all invited to, but again, they never meet.
Okay, so I always end the episode with a fun game, like rapid fire questions. So just answer as fast as possible, whatever pops to your mind. Ready? First movie you remember watching at the cinema?
Superman.
Last movie you remember watching in the cinema?
What I watch? Oh my God. Oppenheimer? No.
That was a year ago.
A long time ago. No.
Dune 2, maybe?
I did not watch Dune. I can't remember what I watched lately.
Funniest actor?
Larry David.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Seth Rogen.
Actress who always makes you laugh?
I can't remember her name. Actually, both of them. The girls from Broad City. Have you seen that show?
No, I've never seen Broad City.
Oh, it's awesome, man. You got to watch it.
Okay, check it out. An Arabic production that really impressed you?
Well, other than the Nadine Lebaki's, you can't criticize that. That and do you know what? There's a small film. Really small. Like the budget was microscopic. But hats off to the guys that did Death of a Virgin. Have you seen that film?
No, I haven't.
It's a really cool director. His name is George Berbere. And the guys that produced it are Ren Seman and Christel Younes. Like they did a really, really, really cool film with a microscopic budget. So we had the pleasure of distributing that. But that went far for what it is. Ended up in Berlin. So I love it when these little things happen. Another one that Hamad Hafzi produced was Riyash. It had a controversy too, but kind of made it around the festivals. Daughters of Abdurrahman was. So I like these, gems that come out of the region and literally that make it out there. So that I like. In terms of like massive production, and I can't really think of one that really stood out.
Perfect.
At least for me. Yes, perfect.
Movie soundtrack that you'll never forget.
Cinema Paradiso, Ennio Morricone. Like that's that. Obviously, The Godfather, Nino Rota. Well, the Hans Zimmer is like you can't.
Did you watch him live recently? In
Twice.
Dubai? Yeah, me too. Best plot twist you've ever seen in a movie or show? Or first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I don't know. The first one that comes to mind is, I don't know, Usual Suspects. That's like, the obvious probably.
Movie that makes you cry?
Cinema Paradiso.
A series that you recommend for everyone to watch?
Child of Good Mothers. Again, watch that series. Gomorrah is, I think it's a masterpiece. Baby Reindeer, of course. The docu-series Bat Surgeon, I really got obsessed with that lately.
Last question. If there was a movie made about your life and your career, who should play you?
Whoa. Seth Rogen.
Nice. Gianluca, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, man.
This was awesome. And I feel like we could have 1 million more hours of conversations. Like you have so much insight. So thanks so much for being here. And can't wait to see everything you've got upcoming.
Thank you so much.